connect to this computer. Hi, it's Rachel Klaver, and I've pulled along Shelly Davies, who is a freaking legend in all things writing and training about writing, but also all about how to be an amazing, joyful badass. Is that pretty much correct there, Shelly?
I'm trying. Imperfectly perfect, amazingly messy, all of those things. I'm trying.
Me too. No one noticed my desk. Luckily, you can't see it in the Zoom thing. Hey, so the reason that Shelly and I wanted to talk today was that I got onto a book called Profit First by a guy called Mike Michalowiz, I think that's how you say his surname. And he wrote an amazing, really small, short book about how to improve your business in terms of finances by really understanding the difference between earning in your business and taking profit out of it. And then I coerced Shelly to get into the book, and I thought we could have a chat around it because I've been advising all my clients get on it. And instead of me just rabbiting on about it, I thought I might get Shelly to talk about what she did with the book and then what difference it's made. So Shelly, so you read the book. How does it basically work in your head? How do you think the basic principle works?
Oh, the basic principle works is the way the basic principle works is that our accounting systems that we're so used to and that we just rely on once we start business, they don't really work with human psychology, right? Because you find out retrospectively how your business is done, has it been profitable or not, and you just wait to see what the numbers show based on someone's calculation. And we all know that there are different ways to change those calculations depending on what you want them to show. And then it might say, hey, you made 20 grand this year, or hey, you made $1 million this year, and you're like, cool, where's my money? Oh no, it's already been spent. That's gone. And that's so unhelpful because A, we don't have that profit to use and to enjoy, and B, we then have it planted in our minds that we've made money and that our business is successful, and so then we make more decisions to keep spending more money. Basically, we're just screwed by all of that mind stuff.
I think so. I think too, for me, like, I don't know about you, I think we're similar. I'm a bit of a spendthrift. So like, I had lots of times, I've always had businesses, our business is pretty consistent now, but when I was a freelance, I'd have these months where I could earn lots and lots of money one month and then not much the following, and I'd have this dead space between January and December, January. And so I'd get used to spending up large when the money was in, but wouldn't have money later on. I never had enough money for tax. And I was definitely paying myself, like pulling money out, but couldn't understand that there was a difference between the money I earned for the business and the money I was earning in the business.
Yeah. And I'm still settling in with that clarity, right? I'm still working through that. In answer to your first question, I talked about kind of the psychology of how it's working, but of course the concrete principle is you put away some money for profit first, and then you set kind of targets or times when you're going to draw down on that and enjoy the profits, the fruit of your business. And that's what's been incredible, because the theory being, we will always spend as much money as we can on our businesses. You spend money to make money. And when you've got an abundance mindset, there's truth in that. There is. You do have to spend money to make money. But there's also still some balance, because when I first started, I listened to the audiobook, and Mike Michalowiz, when I first heard him reading out the first chapter, I was like, I have never felt so predictable or so seen and understood. And honestly, I wouldn't have kept reading if he hadn't just laid it all out there like that. Because I went, this is the story of my last 8 years.
And the thing is, it's really common. So basically, just as a practical thing, it works like I always say it works like the old grandparents' way of budgeting, where you get your money and then you separate it physically into envelopes of all the different things you have. And so it takes all your income and then you separate it into your 4 accounts, which is operating expenses, owner funds, which is where you pay yourself, profit, and then government's money. And you call it government's money so you remember that it belongs to the government. And that one was really big for me, because I was always taking money out of the tax account, and then I'd never have money for tax, and it was stressful. And I hear so many businesses doing that. But one of the biggest things that I found was that there was a big mental shift that I had to learn to adopt. So when I first read the book, I went, I have to it sounds terrible, get rid of a staff member. They were a contractor, and I actually knew I had to reduce their hours. And their contract was coming out to end, so I was going to do it. And I was like, we're doing this. And I was so poor at boundaries that she walked into the meeting. I looked at her with a little puppy dog eyes, and I gave her more hours, gave her a pay rise, and totally failed. And so, like, it wasn't enough just to have the knowledge. I had to take action. But when we really started putting it into place, like, our business was completely broken in terms of, like, where the profit was coming in, all those bits and pieces. But now, like, within like 18, 20 months, it's a completely different story. Like, it's a completely strong, robust business with really clear indicators across the board for everything.
Yeah, and I can confirm that within a month of starting this, that things were turning around for me.
That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy.
It is. And I'm only 2 months in, and the world looks different than it has in many years in my business and my personal finances because of this. And I don't mind saying, because I love talking truth, that 5 years ago, I owed $89,000 worth of taxes between myself personally and my business. And that it wasn't until I started Profit First that sometime in the last few weeks, I paid my last $1,000 and had no tax debt. Oh,
good, right?
Everything feels so much more possible, because the thing with taxes is, right, you get behind and then they keep getting added to.
I know, it just makes it hard. And it's common, like, especially like if you find it easy to make lots of money, which you're good at making money because you're good at what you do, right? You're good at it. And I am too. Like, I'm good at what I do. I'm good at making money. It's fine. It's very easy for it to slide in and out. And so it's really hard to see where it is. And like, we've discovered areas of our business that weren't profitable that we had to change. Funnily enough, some of our options of what we do now is cheaper than they used to be, but they're more profitable, because it's also like, we went, actually, we can change the way we do this, because there was all the stuff that we thought was part of that cost that we hadn't costed in. So it helped us become more aware of things. And like our government's money account always has money in it for tax. It's just there. They ask for the GST, it's there. PAYE, it's there. Paying your tax, it's there. It's just sitting there, and it feels good to know that you have to worry about it.
Yeah, and see, what's interesting for me is that I have worked on my finances really proactively for at least 6 years of my 8 years in business. And I went to Linda Moore, Money Mentalist, who taught me some great things. I had some huge breakthroughs with her. She helped me get an amazing accountant. His name is Angus Ogilvie from Generate Accounting in Auckland. He's an amazing, amazing human, and he's given me huge business advice. Yeah. But I think that all of the things that I learned from both of them along the way really fell into place once I started Profit First. It just works. And it's not just this theory of you should follow this theory, this approach. It's here's how the numbers need to work based on what size your business is. The fact that he gives you percentages of what you can put aside and all of that, and the fact that he encourages us not to just try and dive in and do everything all at once, because I am an all or nothing person, right? I am all in. As soon as I see that there's a way to do something, I just want to do it perfectly, and that is not sustainable in this case. And so you have to ease your way into the certain percentages. And you and your lovely husband were generous enough to give me a spreadsheet with some numbers in it, so that the I can't even tell you how excited I am every time someone pays me, and I open up my spreadsheet and I put the money in, and I know Michael Michalowiz says to do it only twice a month, and I will eventually.
We do it now once a month or twice a month, but when we first started, we had to do it for every single payment, even if it was $100. And there's a thing in there where they say the profit account should be 10%. When we first started doing it, we only could afford 1%, and even then we're having to rob out of it every month to pay for other things. And it was that helped us understand how broken the business was and what we had to fix. And I'll tell you, like, we'll say, when we started Profit First, Rod and I weren't actually taking any money out of the business at all. Like, we weren't earning any money from it. We were basically depleting any resources we had. And then we slowly started paying ourselves, and we paid, below minimum wage, so minimum wage, and then stuff. And last year we had an option to put our salaries up, and we chose actually to keep our salaries really I guess average, like quite low, but because I now really love the fact that we budget in our private lives and our personal lives. So we've kept that. We still have this big payment, but we're keeping more money in the business to make that business really robust. That's what's changed for me. It wasn't just the business thing. For me,
Yes.
it was like, it actually changed my whole attitude to money. And we never run out. It's weird. We have less, but we never run out.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, after implementing that kind of envelope system in the business, and then because I was cutting back on lots of expenses, because I was trying to be more aware about all of that and looking at, in reality, after I put all those things aside, what is left to run the business, and let's run the business in a sustainable way, then that meant that same thinking just carried over to my personal finances. And I set up the envelope system basically there as well.
That's so
and
cool.
Yes, every single day when a need arises, whether it's expected or unexpected, you go, cool, I've got something set aside for that. And that I really, really need to say, that's not because I pay myself such huge amounts of money. It's just the management of it. And it feels empowering and freeing and such a load off.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think that, so I've been working with a lot of businesses, a wide variety. I've got some who are basically about to be bankrupted by the big IRD, and they've been able to go back with this plan and be able to show it. And they've gone, yeah, okay, that sounds good. I've got people who have just generated heaps, but actually have just lost track of where things are. Or like many of us have stopped paying themselves right, or we're just taking drawings but not sure where it was, and then getting a big tax bill for themselves at the end of the year because they hadn't put the money aside. Like all those things, I think it's such a great book. And actually I'm just going to grab this. I don't know, I'll send this to you when I finish, Shelly. It's got a Powerball ticket in it. Sorry, it's a very bad thing to show for Profit First. Seth Godin says, a lotto ticket is always a bad decision to buy unless you win it, in which case it's a bad decision with a great result, which I think is actually a really good thing. But anyway, Pumpkin Plan is another book that he's written, which I'm halfway through, which is all about writing building a business during the recession.
Right.
So highly recommend that one too. But I am only halfway through because I get so excited and start taking action, and then I can't.
I hear you. So I'm really grateful to you guys because you mentioned it one time when we first started working together, and then I heard you mention it again another time, and I think I heard it somewhere else as well. And after those 3 times of someone mentioning it, I was like, I need to at least check this out. Yeah. I'm not great with books for learning. It's not my preferred method of learning. And I decided that I would just try the audiobook thing, and I listened to the entire book, and I was really thirsty for it actually. I would never look back. I can't imagine doing it differently now.
Yeah, it is good. And I think probably your advice and my advice would be the same. Take the book, see those percentages are those optimal percentages, but realize that if your business has got some broken parts in it, starting with less percentages and realizing you may need to do a bit of robbing, but it's kind of like, like when you're changing an eating plan and you go for the donut, and the first time you might eat the donut, and you're aware and go, oops, I ate that because I was feeling a bit sad. And then the next time you go and reach your hand to the donut and go, oh, I don't need to have that. Sometimes you have to rob a little bit, but it's the awareness that comes along with it of like, hang on, do I really need this? Or why is this? And what else can I change to make this fix? That's the part that changes your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Thank you. You're awesome. And I'm so pleased it helped.
Thank you.